DAKSH, an annual education and career guidance fair hosted by the Student Council, Christ deemed to be university. It focused on various opportunities made available to pre-university, undergraduate, and postgraduate students. DAKSH is here to guide students to acquire knowledge and make informed choices regarding their higher education and careers. Through active participation in the stalls, dialogue with eminent speakers from various disciplines, as well as personalized career counseling sessions, students will be able to learn about various vocations and fields of study they could pursue. On that note, we welcome you to DAKSH 2024, the annual flagship event of Christ deemed to University. I, Leanne Philo Thomas, will be your MC for the day. All you need is a plan, the roadmap, and the courage to press on to your destination, said Earl Nightingale. Please join me in welcoming our guest for this session, Mr. V R Raman. We would also like to welcome Dr. Padma Kumar, Faculty Coordinator, for giving a token of thanks for your presence today. Our gift hamper is sponsored by Bistro Claytopia, India's first concept cafe. Bistro Claytopia is the melting pot of people from various cultures who have shared a common passion of blending art with food. At Bistro, they strive to give the best possible experience to all our customers. They are committed to quality, value, and value your complete satisfaction. A seasoned leader in policy, governance, and accountability, Mr. V R Raman boasts a 3-decade career spanning diverse sectors and domains. A champion of a just society, he holds a wealth of experience in health, WASH, nutrition, and disaster resilience. With roles at local and global levels, he has been instrumental in India's flagship mission and landmark programs, contributing to transformative initiatives. Currently affiliated with the prestigious institutions, his extensive board and committee service reflects a commitment to societal well-being and health systems globally. I request our speaker for the day, Mr. V R Raman, to please come up to the stage to enlighten us.
First of all, we are at the beginning of an year. Yeah, no worries. It'll come. It's about my volume. So gradually it goes up, and then you should tell me that you can now reduce. It's a new year, almost 6 days old, very infant. So all of you, I wish a not only happy, but a very prosperous and futuristic new year. And thanks for giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you. So I have tried not to make this a very conventional kind of talk. I've kept it in 3 sections. One will one will analyze the journey that I had, because that is what I have been asked to talk about. How the journey is not, that is something that I would like to put up at the very beginning. While there is a individual locus on things, individual initiatives on things, and honors on things, but there is a very important social context and background that drives our journey. All of us. I mean, it's not about one person. So my journey also is, I have my own drive, my own initiative, my own honors that shaped my journey. But more than that, the societal realities have complemented that journey, and the situations and the opportunities have enriched that journey. So while I'm talking, I'll be building on those aspects more, less on the personal aspects, because the person and the context differ. But what remain constant is the situations that everyone can see. So with that note, I'm going to share the journey that located my space both in the public policy map of India and the world. And when I say public policy map, currently I have these three different responsibilities, and the top one is my full-time affiliation as the executive director of one center which is working on budgets and governance accountability. So wherein public policy and public finance is the major kind of focus that we do, while working with governments by way of supporting them to shape pro-people and people-friendly policies and budgets, with communities, with people, to make them aware about what are the kind of budget potentials and what is the kind of need that they can articulate through the processes in order to influence budgets and to get what they need within the budget. And third, to engage with think tanks and academia like your institution. So that is one of the reasons that I'm here also, wherein the taking the agenda forward happens. Unless and until we engage with students and teachers, we are aware that the isolated, cornered kind of activities are not going to help at least a country like India, which is almost more than 1/5 of the world. So the second affiliation that I have is with the Public Health Resource Network. I am one of the founders of this organization. It's not an organization, it's a network. It has an organization that runs it, which is called the Public Health Resource Society. And it works, thank you. It works, when we started, our slogan was, this was started together with, in parallel with the National Rural Health Mission in 2005. And we told at that time, or we were telling at that time, that the mission would need missionaries. Because without missionaries, the missions are not going to even survive, forget about succeeding. So how to make missionaries was the question that the Public Health Resource Network was addressing in early 2005 through, we had a formal academic program on PG diploma in district health planning, and we had a training program for the government officers, right from the secretaries of health departments to the block level and primary health center level medical officers and other health staff, and a course for the community influencers so that the local level planning for health happens in the way they are supposed to be. So the slogan was, mission needs missionaries, and they need them where the challenges are highest. Because most of us, when we talk about career, that is also one of the reasons that I'm bringing it in here. Whenever we are talking about career, we will think about the, what you call, large city kind of facilities, like Bangalore, or you would position yourself in such big cities. But the needs of the training and the skills and the competencies that you have achieved over years is not in those places. I'm not using any specific adjectives for these cities. There are large cities, there are middle cities, there are small towns and medium towns, and there are also emerging towns like census towns, and there are also villages. But where would you need, where would the people need you, is a question that you need to think about while planning your career. Is it something that's another question that I'll answer or try to answer at the end of it. So that is the Public Health Resource Network. And third one is about globally. I don't know whether you have heard about the Sussex University in UK. So there is an Institute of Development Studies there. So I am kind of a, there is a program these days happening, because there was one era before independence, we were also part of colonies. We were one of the colonies of the colonial era of the British Empire. Later, we became independent, but still, the culture of colonization continued. The domination of some countries over the global south largely continued. So now, there is because of the pressure that has been made by students from all the global south across the western and the advanced settings, there is a change, and that change has compelled the global west or the global north both to think of decolonization or what you call dehegemonization. So this program that I am part of is about dehegemonization, how to get the benefits of science and technology to the last segment of society through sharing the learnings on sanitation and related health issues. So that is what the Sanitation Learning Hub does. So these are the key affiliations that I have. There are small other affiliations like teaching, faculty, and those kinds of things which I am not bringing in here. So now I am very briefly going to tell about the journey. The journey is the key foundations I wanted to put up first. First, I don't know how many of you are here from the state of Kerala, the neighboring state of Kerala. I am from there. And there is a district called Thrissur, and I'm coming from the bordering place of Thrissur and Palakkad. Not very far from Bangalore. Many of you would be from Kerala as well. At least I know a couple of them. I met a couple of them now. And then the students in the life, particularly when we were studying, that will be the case with your faculty as well here. It was a societal learning, not a campus learning as such. So it was a mix of society and campus. And within the society, your community, your village is part of it. We all were, most of us were day scholars. Hostel was there only for those people who are coming from very distant areas. So the kind of shift that would have happened, like you are studying in another state now, those things were very rare when we were studying. But as a student, I was quite involved and also questioned the world around. So that is something, so that's where, I was quite, embarrassed when the student council members were trying to help me treat me as a guest and all, because I used to be a student council member when I was a student. So I know how difficult it is to organize these kinds of events and programs. So I'm most like, I want to feel like one of you than a guest. At least that takes me back to some 30 years of discount I'll get or more. So this questioning the world has a very important context to, unless and until, so I will go back to, since we are sitting in Christ University, I was reading about how the concept of these universities have started. So one of the important concept was, taking education to the people, taking education to the most needy was picked up by these kinds of institutions, influenced by people like Paulo Freire. His book called Pedagogy for the Oppressed and critical thinking and critical learning, critical and analytical learning. All these are having this importance of questioning the problems and challenges around and trying to answer them and trying to solve them. So this prospect of a student is the first kind of foundation I think I got from my the engagements of the very social, very political, and very dynamic Kerala campuses. The second one is about the window of the world were open to us. I don't know how much that is there for you. It will be there because of, you have a window in your hand. I have kept it in my pocket. This window specifically is about taking us to wherever we want, or at times taking us to wherever the media entrepreneurs want. Both are there. If you can control this instrument, it can take you to wherever you want. If the instrument controls you, then the case is different. So that's something that we need to understand, the psychology of whether we are machines or whether they are humans. We are humans. This question is something that very important when we look at this. So here we had library movement, we had film movement, we had theater movement, we had fine arts societies, we had sports kind of clubs, we had science movement like in Kerala it is called KSSP, in Bangalore it was Karnataka Science Forum, Karnataka Rajya Vigyan Parishad, several science movements were there. And very strong political argumentation about rights and wrongs happening in the society. Politics is not just about political parties. Politics is also about discussing and involving and trying to change the social realities. So in that sense, the youngsters, how much are we exposed to and how much are we involved in these kinds of processes, that determines the foundation. The third foundation is as a social activist, wherein change was the destination, change was the aim, change was the objective, and change was the energy for the journey as well. So how to change the societal structure, how to question and change the systems, how to question and change the processes, these were something very seriously we were engaged and involved during our times. I'm not trying to say a Panchatantra story, but I'm trying to make you to think about a comparative understanding of your time and our times. And I'm not saying ours was great. that is also a false kind of understanding that the older times are great. I see that the younger times are great because you have much more opportunities and much more grounding compared to our times, because our exposures were within the very limited possibilities and prospects of the real world, wherein you have the virtual world, wherein you can get exposure to anything and everything at a finger point and very minimal kind of time. So then my journey as the literacy campaigner in Kerala, that brought in, that may be the game changer in my life, wherein I started to engage with the old age populations of Kerala. Till that time, this generation gap was very much there. The same thing the old people used to say, that ours is great and yours is, same thing that you may be facing in your life, we faced in our lives as well. But when I started to engage with the people, senior people, that made me to understand what is the mechanics, what is the dynamics, what is the context in which they are thinking, they are living, and they are taking their life forward. And that made me to compare context and then make a realistic analysis and institutional analysis of life. And that institutional analysis of life gave me answers that the society thinks from the context from they are. And those contexts determine how their lives are getting shaped. And those contexts drives their life. So if you are able to position yourself in a different context, like if you have heard this Vetal and Vikram story, the Vetal always got into a dead body, and the dead body's context is very different compared to a living being. I'm not getting into the superstitions around the ghost and those kinds of things here, because that's a different story altogether. But this putting yourself into a different context is something that I'm talking about. So here, the literacy campaigner life put me into a different context, and I have totally became a different person from the young, angry, that kind of a protesting for anything and everything, that kind of a person. From little bit of maturity I started to see in my life. So I think that made a important grounding. And finally, when I was 21, the National Literacy Mission, the Kerala Total Literacy Campaign was completed, and some of us who were very actively coordinating the Kerala Literacy Campaign, were invited to help the National Literacy Mission at the All India level. And I was one of them, and I was the youngest. In 21, when I was going into Delhi, so many of you will be 21 here, so you can relate what you are thinking now. And I was at 21 when I was invited to be an advisor of the National Literacy Mission, and the government of India put me in the rank of additional secretary at that time, which is quite senior a position. I was not even ready to think of what that position means. But of course, I had the rich experience of working. Additional secretary in government of India means, if you know the collector positions of IAS, so collector, then director of state, then special secretary of the state, secretary of the state, special secretary of center, joint secretary of center, then comes the additional secretary. And after the additional secretary, only two posts in IAS, which is secretary and cabinet secretary. So that is how the positions are. So when I was put into that kind of a very senior position in 21 years, I was literally stumped and stumbled as well. But that gave me another, kind of understanding, wherein the around 200 districts of India I could see. Travel, meet the collectors, meet with them, plan, and try to reinstate and reinforce, change, strengthen the literacy campaign. And it was also called, it was a different mission within the National Literacy Mission, Operation Restoration Mission, which I was in charge of. The program was stagnant, and we were trying to, I'm audible right now, isn't it? Are you able to hear me? Okay, fine. Yeah. So around 200 districts I could travel, and 18 states at that time, within the span of say 4 years or 5 years. And then I realized, particularly in the North Indian context of India, working in UP, working in Bihar, working in, then Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, and Chhattisgarh was not born. They took birth in post-2000. So I'm talking about early 90s. And then I realized, we can talk about literacy and education later. People have the primary struggles of their life, which is health. So I became a health campaigner without any training in public health or community health. That is the interesting turn of my life, because I was an English teacher when I was shifting from Kerala. From an English and linguistics scholar, started my PhD and all that. I became a what you call health crusader, training people, preparing community health workers, and all that. Now, that starts probably my career. Till that time, I was a volunteer. So it was not a work. I was not earning much. I was only getting an honorarium, which was around. When I was taking off from the Bharat Gyan Vigyan Samiti, which hosted me, I was, my salary at that time was around, not salary, it was called honorarium. It was around 5,000 something rupees. But my job started after that, when the there's water, no worries. So there is some 12 points I have, listed here in different blocks, but I'm not going to take you through all that. Some of them I'll, definitely narrate here. So one was this project called Multi-Sectoral Approach to Health. This gave me an understanding of development is not about one sector. If you have to build health, you have to also work on water and sanitation. We have to also work on rural development. We have to work on transportation. We have to work on infrastructure. So it's a comprehensive journey if you have to do one. In the current policy learning and media learning, we call it convergence. But convergence, one need to understand convergence from doing it. It cannot be easily learned from books and how to do it. You have different departments, different responsibilities, different people doing it. So how to convert them, that part, this multi-sectoral approach to health in Uttar Pradesh, the most difficult state probably in India, as far as my experience is concerned. I'm not saying difficult from the culture point of view. I'm saying difficult because the governance systems are not yet well developed in some of the Indian states, and UP is one. And then the Chhattisgarh government and the BBC invited me for two different things. The BBC invited me for scheduling and planning a community media for HIV that was getting widespread across the world. So for African countries, how can they develop a community media concept for combating HIV was one question, because for health I had developed a lot of community media in the districts of Raebareli of UP, in the district of Pithoragarh of then UP, now in Uttarakhand, and all that. That, I was not finding it, although it was giving me a lot of travel opportunities and all that to multiple, countries. But I was not getting very enthused about it, because, it was just advising. So advising probably cannot bring change. So I planned help them, and by that time the Chhattisgarh government asked me to take up a co-founder role of the State Health Resource Center and the Mitanin Community Health Worker Program, which actually paved way for the ASHA concept under the National Rural Health Mission in 2005. So 2000 to 2005, we have developed this 72,000 community health volunteers, all women, across all habitations of Chhattisgarh. A very small team. Then a big team was developed, capacitated to train this, women force across the state. And this also, kind of reached in a particular phase where a panchayat level or habitation level health and human development index was prepared for Chhattisgarh state, entire Chhattisgarh state, covering 72,300 hamlets or so. And then, build up the kind of public policy understanding. When I was in a rank, I don't think I could learn that much. But when I was working at the state level, it was much more, kind of learning oriented. The power, that is one learning that I had. The power is not always leading to learning. The power is not always leading to outcome. But engagements are leading to. So that is one important learning that I had. So when I, from the national level, very senior power positioning to a almost a director level position of state government. So it was you may think that it is a demotion. For me, that was the promotion. Because, I was able to act, I was engaged with people, I was able to, narrate the discourse of change and design the discourse of change and impart it. So that was something very critical. And then National Rural Health Mission I supported in Jharkhand, and the disaster management program, they invited me to do a social reconstruction program in Orissa. So several such programs I could do. And then also I was invited to the universal health coverage, sorry. Sorry, I forgot to make it silent. So from this, the Universal Health Coverage, the Planning Commission of that time set up a high-level expert committee, and I was part of the technical advisory to that commission, wherein it designed the Universal Health Coverage program for India. So all these would have now I am into the budget and public finance kind of a thing. So this broadly sums up my journey. So in terms of career reach, you can see that it is around Indian states, flagship missions, Indian government institutions, other countries, Indian academic institutions, global institutions and campaigns, Indian people's movements, and Indian civil society organizations. Several type of footprints these opportunities have given me. Now I'm going to the lessons. And lessons I am trying to make it from your kind of perspective, not from my perspective. So one is the ground needs should inform and form the primary choice and priorities of career for us. Rather than, the current market economy that was started in India from almost 1990s, early 90s, our economy has, from a welfare economy, we have moved into a market economy. And in that market economy, profit and income has started to drive the concepts and conceptual frameworks of life for people. While income is important, very, very important, because we have to survive, we have to live, and we have to make our lives and the next generation's life. So I'm not negating that part, but very importantly, the career also should build our lives. So how would you make this balance is the question. For that, I think one of the important thing is we should understand the ground need. What needs to be done? Where is my utility? And then that should, inform our picking up the choice. The second part is about not only the core area of our work, all the determinants are going to be equally important. When I was working around health, that I realized. So now I have a degree in health also. I studied in the University of Western Cape, South Africa, after I headed a health department in one of the state governments. I mean, that's also, I may be the first non-medico to head the health department, research center or something like that. But later, I was invited with a, recognition of prior learning. I was given a medical and public health degree from South Africa. But, what I understand is health is not enough. If I have to I have to improve health, then I have to also work on education. I have to work on various other surrounding sectors. So this will be true for whatever area that you are specializing also. It cannot be just with that specific specialization, the focus area. You will have to look at the satellites of that. The third one is government action impacts the entire scale of society compared to the privates and corporates. This is not to motivate all of you to join the government. Don't think that. What I'm saying is, wherever you are, try to work with government. And try to impact and try to influence the government policies. And try to change the societal norms through whosoever is in the government. So one of the IAS officers, very senior IAS officers had told me that you have two choices. Either you can become the idiot yourself, or you can advise the idiot. I mean, this is the word that he used. He said the administration in the country, it is not an easy job. My realization also was that when I interacted and trained a lot of administrators, including in the, Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy of Administration, wherein I go every year to spend a 3-4 days session with the prospect IAS officers. So one of the things that I see is that their life is, as an administrator, many of us, if I take a decision, it is only for my organization and the programs. But when an administrator takes a decision, it affects the entire population that he or she is responsible for. So, how to engage with the government and government officials and to support the development paradigm through wherever and whatever expertise that you have is an important thing to do. The third one is, when I worked with women organization, gender equity and equality kind of issues, I realized that as men who actually, occupy large segment of spaces that is available in the country, despite having a woman, reservation for Lok Sabha, which is very recent one, also in our assembly elections, our representation of women in our decision-making and the policy-making places are less than 10%, wherein population-wise, women are 50. Here also I can see that the population of women is much higher than the population of men. Nevertheless, women are not able to or not allowed to both reach the specific, important and decision-making or decisive positions. So but working with the women movements, feminist movements, and those kinds of people, what I realized is that men lack attention to detail. I don't know whether that statement fully forms correct, but that is what is my understanding. As men, till the time I was working with senior leaders of Indian women's movements, I never was into that kind of was giving that kind of an attention to detail. So this is something very important, that the future leaders in whichever sector you are should give attention to detail. So how to do that? Learn from women. And make women leaders also. That is another thing. Those in all the organizations, that 17 organizations that I have been part of forming and all that, the leaders, most of them are now led by women. So that is also one important thing. And the next thing is how to feel for the excluded population, how to feel for the large-scale marginalized sections of the society. That also comes from the care that woman is able to provide to the society. And we don't accord that care. This is called care economy. I don't know how many of you are aware about or exposed to this particular word, care economy. Care economy is something that women do all the work, but they don't get anything in return, not even name, not even the credits. Whether it is a household chore, whether it is even in work, even if their contributions are not well attributed, well accepted, and they have not been given the space that they are deserving. So this particular importance of my learning is that in the societal structures or career structures that you are going to be part of, how would you make it a woman-friendly or female-friendly space is going to be very critical. Whosoever you are, whether you are a male, whether you are a female, whether you are a non-binary. All of us have to look at and accord the importance of women in all these roles and spaces. And the next one is that how the there is something missing here. Okay. The substantial work that you do, anything that you do, important work, we think that we don't get credited and all that. But whenever you do it in the way a structure can recognize it and see it, that requires a lot of efforts to establish the visibility of those also. Not from the market perspective, the branding perspective and all that, but from the information and education perspective and communication perspective. Time? Yeah, I'm finishing, don't worry. So this is where it is important that we have to look at, we have to feel that, we have to, learn that. If you do substantial work and position them well, you cannot be neglected. And then multidisciplinary and multi-sectoral approaches are important. That kind of understanding is needed. And scale matters. And this is where I'll end. That life is not for career, but career is for life. This is something that otherwise what happens is, if you look at the mental health situations of many people who are earning well, but they are not necessarily learning the things that they want. So earning, you keep it in the focus, but also necessarily focus, what would make you happy? What kind of work would make you, feeling fulfilled? So choose something of that sort. But of course, I know that you are in the, many of you are here after taking a big career, bank loan, student loan and all that. So you will have EMIs to look at. You have many things, similar things to think about. But still, it is important that whether you can go into something that you like, that would make a lot of changes in your life. And finally, money is not career, it is just an output. In my case, I have struggled around till 30 years or something like that. I was learning a lot, but after 30 years, I never had to ask for anything, but things were coming to me. So if you are able to invest your time, that is also one of the very important capital. for learning and for positioning yourself and to contribute to the society, your earning will happen in a particular point in time without any doubt. So I have some questions, but I'm not going into that. I'm just putting the titles here. One, the how will we, the society and the world is in a very different notation wherein money determine everything. So how would you think differently about your career is a question. And concerns of growth for self, not necessarily reciprocating to those who serve us is a big problem, like our workers, our sanitation workers. One of my TED talk is around the sanitation workers, the struggle that they have. So how would we also acknowledge and accredit them and try to support them rather than, feeling elites amongst the marginalized communities? Is an important question to understand and address. I'll not go to these details. And then career should be for both self and for the society around. And earning for life needs, that is important. And living for sustainable future, that is also important for the humanity and the world, how to sustain our society. I would stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. We greatly appreciate your insightful session. I'm confident we've gained invaluable insights and extensive knowledge today. To our audience, kindly be informed that we are now opening the floor to questions.
They can also make any rejoinders if they have. Or suggestions.
Good afternoon, sir. So I'm Sapna, and I'm studying Masters in Public Policy here in Christ. So given how the public policy space in India, it's so diverse and it's so complex. So what were the strategies or approaches that you used to, to build your expertise or to build your voice in this field?
Maybe you can give, okay. This is fine. It's a, the question requires a big kind of reflection, but I'll make it shorter. The first thing is that, we need to understand as a public policy person or for, any other sectors, what is the interventional space available? If you start with that, so that is where, this diversity that I was talking about. If you start with what the policy makers and policy implementers are lacking and provide them support, and that space gives you entry to many other things. So when I started to work on literacy, that opened, the first thing that opened up was I don't know how many of you are aware about the National Curriculum Framework of 2005 made by the National Council for Education, Research and Training, NCERT. Now this has been under the new national education policy, this has been changed. So this opportunity came to me, they invited me how to position health in the national curricular framework. So this is education, but the core thing was, health. Similarly, the Meghalaya government is now working on water policy. So there is a advisory committee, that they have, getting me because of I was helping them into something else. In Kerala, there is one panchayat which is doing a total health campaign, and they have, put me as the chair of their advisory committee or something. Those kinds of things. So it is all about trying to understand where they are struggling and to provide support in those areas and not give it from that elitist perspective. If you give it from above, it's not going to work. If you start as, you are an expert and they should listen to you, because, they are the policy makers and the implementers have a lot of learning and knowledge. They know the problem very well. At times, our public policy research is giving them only the answers for the non-problem, the questions, the non-problems, our research is finding. And we are not able to find the answers for that. The moment we are going with answers, your space is open.
Good morning, sir. I'm Charlene Joseph, and I'm a student of International Studies. Sir, in the beginning of your speech, you mentioned how you like to focus more on societal factors impacting your journey more than personal factors because they are more constant and general. So could you share what kinds of experiences and challenges helped shape your understanding of India's public policy and helped find your niche within it?
Okay. So since you are from an international, studies, let me also make it a little bit of, your context, but also, in the general context of others as well. One is that I can, the recent work that I am doing is in Nepal about how the Nepal government can improve their local self-government. Because their new constitution, they used to be a different country till 29 or something like that, and after that they started a reform, and now Nepal is looking forward to be a equitable country wherein most of the national level government powers have been delegated to what you call the local governments. The important thing is, wherever you involve at the grassroots level, a lot of challenges will pop up. And in my case, when I was in Uttar Pradesh, the major problem was how to get women for the literacy campaign to study, and because it is not the South Indian kind of situation wherein women from all community, they cannot show the face to you. I'm talking about 90s, which was even stronger. Now things have changed a lot. Still, problems are there. So they cannot come to a public place where, men and others are there. So that was one major kind of problem that we were facing. And volunteers were not available who are past 10th standard, because, whosoever has passed 10th standard, they will get some other engagement over there. So you don't have volunteers, unlike, the highly educated kind of states like Kerala or somewhere. So how to prepare volunteers was a question. So there were several questions that were, coming in. In Nepal, it is about when the 50% reservation for women came in Panchayat Raj institutions. One of the problem was women who got elected were proxies of men. Because that is how it starts. You cannot expect, the first chance of women coming into the kind of power to know everything. So the men were kind of doing that dole dance, making them to do that dole dance, and women were just acting according to them or signing or putting their thumb around it. So how to change these situations were the challenges. I mean, just to put it in a nutshell, if this question itself will take 2 hours, so I'm not going there. So these challenges, once you identify them, then try to find peer solutions within the society itself. How would you find peer solutions for that? And that becomes policy. Because policies are, if they are coming from someone who is thinking from the top, the policies might not suit the grassroots. So if you make the policies from grassroots, it will solve the problem. So that is where I think my experiences of working with the grassroots were the most precious for me, rather than, my work with Human Rights Commission or the International Health System Global or Medical Council in UK. Those work were, built on what I've done in Uttar Pradesh villages. Yeah.
I request Mr. Raman to remain on stage and please accept a token of our appreciation for your inspirational and wise words. I request Dr. Padma Kumar to please present our speaker with a memento. I now invite Pranay to deliver the vote of thanks.
That brings the proceedings for today to a close. We are extremely grateful to our speaker, Mr. V R Raman, for enlightening the way to increase our knowledge. Thank you to everyone who contributed to the seamless operation of the event, including the teachers, management, and the volunteers. Thank you all for being such a great audience. Have a wonderful day ahead.
I now kindly request Dr. Padma Kumar to escort Mr. Raman off the dais and request the students to be seated as our guests